And we're with EV DevTech, and we're here to try and make the world a better place, one solution at a time. And so it looks like we changed the theme up. We're talking about icebergs.
We are going to dive deep into one concept, so I thought, why not? Let's just say change the whole thing.
Yeah, we're starting with the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but first,
Yeah, this is us. Albin's not here, of course. It's gonna be one of us two at a time. Albin and
yeah,
I, or Albin and Laura, or Laura and Alvin.
yep,
um, but yeah, but someone has to make sure that that there's no fires, right? So that's what Alvin's doing right now at the moment. And so the goal with our workshop is to make sure that we have some chaos, some clarity in our chaos. And so we're going to be your facilitators, and we're trying to make sure that we focus on real challenges that you guys are facing in the real world. Um, and make sure we're focused on transforming how we live and work, a solution at a time, right? Every
yep,
every problem can, once you identify the problem, there's a solution.
yep,
Whether you do it or not is up to you.
yep.
So it's structured into three phases or three parts. We're going to have our word of the day first, and then we're going to talk about how do we understand it. Then we're going to talk about what's in the news and start brainstorming.
Yep.
So
So
go ahead.
imagine, so the word of the day hint, I guess you would be to imagine the digital coworker that doesn't sleep, learns on the job, juggles APIs, literally just what just says, recalls every conversation and adapts in real time without needing a coffee break. We all know this word. It's everywhere, right?
What is it?
There you go. AI agents. So look,
It's a
there's
lot.
these I put on complex creatures down below right next to the dolphins because I think they are amazing, right? Aren't they just I saw this video of a little girl engaging in a conversation that we don't know in what language it is with, in how do you call this
With AI.
place? Yeah, thank you. Uh, and I just thought that was like amazing. The same goes with us and computers, right? We are um, building this complex infrastructure uh, because we are complex, basically. And
Exactly.
yeah, and so throughout, I think AI agent has not been, we just call it like that, but it has been around for decades now because machines have helped us do many things um, for a long time, and we've we just evolved them into this awesomely sophisticated, very well, I don't
These are
know.
complex creatures that we've created.
Yep, exactly. So regardless of everything that a person out there can tell you as far as how to build it, it is complicated. And there's this phrase in Spanish for those that can't relate to. Um, how would you say, Eric? Zapatero a su zapato.
Oh, like a shoe to a cobbler.
Yeah, like your expertise brings the best of you and your and what you bring to the table because that's that's what we are. We and so one can create the idea, the other one can execute, and so on. And so I think that's what it is. That's what we're trying to portray today with
Awesome.
AI agent work.
Yeah, that it is. It's so true. I mean, I like the I like that these are complex creatures that we've created, because that's literally what we've done. And then thinking about it from like a Darwin perspective is like you have to observe them to understand them, and you have to build like. But the cool thing about this is that we're building them and observing them kind of at the same time, and we're
Yep.
building that complex infrastructure at the same time. So um, we could be causing our own problems too.
Yeah, aren't we? We we're gonna get too philosophical here. But
That's
yeah,
fine. What is it? What's the philosophy? What do you have
a
to say?
yeah, so the thought that you just um kind of like made me think about is the fact that when we complain, this is too stoic, and but I've learned it from the meditations, the background that actually Ryan Holiday I used to be subscribed to his newsletter, but he taught me so much for so long that when he became repetitive, I just went like, oh, I can't take you more anymore. He's like, you're too right. But when he was explaining about how do we complain, but what do you do about it?
Hmm.
So realize that you're part of the problem is actually what makes you, go beyond the actual problem. So it made me think about him. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, that's literally everything. What
Yeah.
are you doing about it?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing about AI agents? Oh, it's too complicated. They're too complicated. Oh, it has a complex infrastructure. Well, what are you doing about it?
We can just learn about it.
Exactly. Let's learn.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to guide us through this iceberg that we're going through.
So yes, um, there is the notion. I think it's a notion. It's not like an idea, but there is the thought that AI agents are in simplicity just a 1, 2, 3 step process, which they can be. I'm not saying that's not the case. But as you get complexity of your business, and as you want to get your enterprise, your small business into an enterprise robust um, fashion way, let's call it. Like I said over there, it needs to be robust. It needs to be built through the grounds of the right steps to make it happen. So literally, there is the process of several stages of they might not all of them apply to every business, but almost all of them needs to be in consideration when building your tool, only because you want to think ahead of what what's coming.
Yeah, and I
So
think it also comes with the starting is what's its purpose,
mhm,
right?
yeah,
Which is kind of weird because we give them names, right? Like we have Bolt, Sierra, Cognigy, Harvey.
Harvey.
We have
There's so many others,
so
right?
many others, yeah. And we give them names, but they have a purpose. Like they didn't just, oh, here's an AI ready agent for your enterprise.
Hmm. Yep.
I
It
think
has
the
a
name is what they choose last
specific why. Yep.
because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
easier to give it, to give them. It's easier to give them a name after you know exactly what its purpose is.
Yeah. I wonder if Harvey is for law. Then I'm just
Yeah, it
joking.
is.
Yeah.
Isn't that the
I
law
wonder.
AI agent? It is.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's going to be professional. It says professional services. So it might become that, right?
Is it not this one? Harvey.
No.
Harvey AI.
Yep.
I read up on this because they it's a
Legal
really
services. Yeah. So that's why.
yep.
So you're correct. It's the whole idea might have just been designed to to do exactly that. Rapid results and very bias and all of that.
Yeah, because if
So
you
what do
have
we call it? What do we call this AI? Well, let's call it Harvey. Who hasn't seen Suits, right?
yeah, I was wondering because it's an industry trained model, and I was wondering to see if it has like because everything in legal is documented, right? You have the
That's right.
legal documenter literally in the courtroom documenting everything that everyone said and what was done. Um, and so this is, I'm pretty sure this probably has a lot of training on just that. We
Mm-hmm.
have these databases.
Yep. That,
Awesome. But yeah, anyways, not to focus on one name, but these are
it might
real
be the
agents.
reason.
Yeah,
Yeah. It might be the reason why they name it Harvey, right?
exactly. But yeah, that each layer represents a component or a capability to deploy. Yeah. But you start the name is the last. I feel like the name is definitely the last thing that they.
Yeah.
It is it. Oh, what do they call it? It is the a professional, and I gotta pull it back up. What's its purpose?
Mm.
I think that's what it started.
Yeah.
This is how they started. It's a professional class AI with domain specific AI for law firms, professional service providers, and Fortune 500.
Yeah.
That's probably their problem statement as to, hey, what we want to build an AI that's for the legal, you know,
Mm-hmm.
legal industry that is going to be able to help us out to accelerate the research and stuff like that. And then, okay, how do we do that? And why are we going to do that? And then I think they, yeah, they definitely, yeah, I think they named it last. Anyways, how do they do it? Well, you need a front end, you need some memory, you need authentication, right? Who can actually access it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it going to pull that data from? Oh, and there's a lot more memory tools here. These are just a few. And there's many ways that you can architect an AI agent. It doesn't just have to be these tools. For authentication, you can even have your own proprietary authentication. You can use the cloud authentications, memory, also cloud memories, right? Like RAG resources and things like that. That all gets stored. Maybe Google Cloud Storage, maybe um, using the Google AI Vertex platform studio as well. You can provide. There's Pinecone as well. That's a framework for fetching things from RAG, or we can. I'm assuming that's what is meant by memory here. Um, and then the front end is the front end. Just make it look nice and user friendly for the end user.
Yeah. So one thing that I went through when building the layers was memory is not the same as a database. So
Mm-mm.
yeah. So I think as a common like a common person, um, when I've seen how some of them have been built, I think user business owners needs to understand that as memory is just a continuity and your database is something that you feed into the memory. So I thought that was interesting because then it's just another layer.
It's true. Yeah, because these these are other different types of well, I mean, they're called vectors or embeddings and stuff like that, which is literally the splitting and grouping of your document into like subjects or like categories.
Okay.
Um, and then you store that in some form of database, but it's really usually a vector database, more something of it's like a mathematical statistical model as to when you're looking
Mm,
something up, it's around this area, right? Where
mm,
you might store some of this in databases, but usually when you store it in databases, it's going to be a lot. You want to be able to index it, right? Because once you index that database, it's going to be really fast. You're going to be able to fetch the data a lot faster. So you kind of want a little bit of both, because a database usually has a very it's structured. It's a
mm-hmm.
structured
Yep.
database. It's usually structured. That's part of SQL, right? Structured query language. So it has a structure to it. Where
Yeah.
in AI agents, there are structures, but they're more of a statistical structure of, hey, these are like things, and I'm grouping these like things together, but that doesn't necessarily mean um, it's the same thing every time, right? Because we can do some form of cognitive search on that, in that memory, and it could be completely different from one search to another, and it's creating those uh, that embedding in a different way, right? Essentially, so it's
I,
once you ask the question, it doesn't really know how to structure it until you ask the question to now go and look for and fetch that information that's the most like what you've asked for, to retrieve that information to then present it to
yeah. I I think you really went deep into that because it's somewhere and it's listed, but it does make sense that the memory has some layers. It's just what we know, then the database, then what you call a vector, and then there's this, it's called what did I name? It's called infrabase. So it's just, this is just a name, right? You could call it memory too. It's just this other layer of it. I thought that was super interesting.
you. Yeah. And but either way, I mean, these you have to think about all of it, because you might be pulling from documents sometimes, you might have to pull from SQL databases the other time, and you still have to provide that information to your model, to your agent. And how is your
Mm-hmm.
agent going to interpret that information, right?
Yeah.
Even your conversations, the conversation memory, right? You can the conversation history. Well, we got to store that in some form of database and make sure that it's structured, and make sure that we're pulling that context into, and how much of that context do we need to pull in, so that the agent can do a good job, right? So there's a lot of things to think about here.
Yep.
Authentication, very important. Who has access to it, and
Mm-hmm.
who can pull information when and where from where. So the authentication piece is important. Who's the person sitting on the other side of the keyboard?
Yeah. I think this one is also, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this one, the authentication piece is also linked to what I read about orchestration, because then a user could be allowed or not for it to be even ask authentication or just not have any,
Correct.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So,
authentication is what allows you what memory you can pull.
mhm. So,
What keys do you have?
yeah. So this has other layers. Go more in deep. Go. Go. Oh, there you
We're
go.
getting deeper.
Yeah. So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I think my favorite has been for every user out there that has done any type of um help in their work. We've used the tools. And I didn't list Google on all of them, but Google is in all of them, right? It wouldn't be any point. But I think I only listed it once. But then the tools are kind of like my favorite, as they just, if you want something very specific for a task to do, like the client that Alvin was just talking this morning, I know that I could do further, but I just want this one thing to be done. That's what I want. Because then I can feed into the other part.
Exactly.
So
That's what
tools
the
are
tools
just
are.
for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's a great way of explaining it. There's a lot more tools than what we have listed here. You can make your own tools and plug your own tools into your agent. Um, Google and DuckDuckGo are one of them, right? Because if you want to fetch things from the internet into your agent, you know, you would probably be using one of the main search engines out there. Um, and pull that information in. Serper is one of those. Serper is a search engine, right? Is as well, right? It's one of those search. Yeah, it's a scraper. So it's going to go and fetch information from
Mm-hmm.
Google search and provides it
Mm-hmm.
back to you. That's one of the, I think, ChatGPT or Azure. Um, I think that's one of the tools that they use to plug in the web search to their LLMs. I'm not sure about Exa. Zapier is a whole integration platform, is a whole automation workflow platform. Essentially, if this happens, pull this. Um, so essentially, if you can integrate your agent with Zapier, you can do a lot of things. Whatever's integrated to Zapier, create a new user, create a new lead on a CRM, create any things like that,
Yep.
and then you can create your own tools, which whatever you need it to do, right? You need to
Yeah.
review OCR documents. You need to pull specific information from a database. So then that's when you start building your own tools or something that nobody has done yet or and hasn't
Which you can
created
just
themselves.
script.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like this part, and I can already say that when we're listing requirements for clients, and there is a bridge that we need to cross with how do they want things to be done versus what can be done. Um, and I think that only own business owners know their variables. This is what they're really good at. They know their business. They know where is that data. They know that some of that data is in people, and some of that data might just be in a system or a way that they plug their own processes together. Uh, but this is also a part of that awareness. Like, yeah, that's one layer of things. How do we get that data? Okay, let's think about this.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, and moving on to like how do you observe that data? Like how is it doing it right? How do you know where it pulled it from? Did it pull the right information? And that's part of the observability portion is being able to look behind the curtain and saying
I
it's not
didn't
magic.
got this part. Um, I didn't get this part completely on the observability. Is this kind of like your right thing to do or wrong thing to do?
No, it's mainly just observing if it is doing. Does that make sense? It's not let's remove whether it's right or wrong.
Mm,
Can we see what it's doing in real time and also see how it's doing it?
okay,
So if the agent is working right now, can I
okay,
observe it working?
okay.
And so that's where the observability is kind of more of can I see the
Like
logs? Can I see
like
what it's
audit
doing right
logs.
now? Like an audit.
Okay,
It's like, can I audit
yeah,
what it's doing right now?
okay,
Maybe in real time, maybe after it's ran a process or a job.
okay.
And so that's kind of that observability portion is, can I see what it does?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's after the fact, after it's done it, or in real time. And that's very important because, especially if it's doing like critical procedures, you want to be able, if something goes wrong, you want to be able to audit what happened, what went wrong, why did it go wrong, what did it do. We've had situations where, oh, Chrome needs to be updated. Literally, that was, if we weren't able to observe the agent while it was doing the job, we wouldn't have been able to say that, oh, in Chrome needs to be updated, or Internet Explorer needs to be updated, or Edge needs to
Mm-hmm.
be updated, right? So um, these are the types. That's why observability is so important, because things might happen in the real world. API change, like API stuff, could change. The website that it's trying to scrape from could completely change, right? To capture information. And so, but did it do the right thing, right? Yes, it did do the right thing. It tried to do the thing that it knew how to do, but what it knew was now irrelevant because it changed. And so now,
Yep.
is it smart enough to work when things change, where things are dynamic? And then, 1 second, sorry.
So literally, there's the observability is what has what the hell is my AI doing and why?
Exactly, exactly. And then the orchestration is building it up to do it, right?
Yep. Okay.
And so that's,
See.
these are very important. I actually like this slide that it's all together like this, because you're going to be able to observe that it's using the tools, right? In the orchestration, you're going to be able to tell it which tools to use. And so the orchestration is actually building what the agent does, observing what it's using and what tools they'll be using. And there's so many tools now. I mean, there's one thing that's probably not on here. Langflow is one of them as well. That you can orchestrate some things. That one's pretty impressive. There's NAN, and yeah, there's so many of them. Everybody's trying to be the orchestrator.
Yep.
The routing, I'm not quite so sure, because this is so new. don't don't
Mm,
keep us to the fire on the namings on these things, because people
yeah,
even have a different understanding what AI agents are and should be you doing.
that's part of
um,
the news.
exactly. And foundational model is pretty solid in what that means. Every AI agent, I wouldn't say every, but unless you make your own, then, you know, from an agentic view, if you're using some form of AI, you have an AI model which you'll be leveraging, right? And that's going to be foundational to that AI agent. So I think foundational model is something that's pretty um,
So
solid in
yeah.
naming, because that's just which AI are you going to use? Are you going to use
Mm,
OpenAI, DeepSeek, Gemini, any of these other
and
ones?
the actual steps that trigger these where they were based by people that are now trying to pull a lot of information together into images. And the modal routing, I understood it was more like for some, if you were to build an AI that is complex enough to be routing to different models, because you need this AI, and I think we mentioned it last time, we built this AI for a specific purpose, but then you want the reasoning to come from another one and blah, blah, blah. So,
Exactly. Yeah, and I understand that now. That is actually a core piece of orchestration, right? So if we go back to
okay, yeah,
agentic orchestration, part of your agentic orchestration, if it's complex enough, you will
mm-hmm.
have some model routing inside of your orchestration of
Okay,
saying, hey, I need you to do this. It gets to this point. Well, I need you to go use
okay,
this model to go and fetch and do this type of work. And remember how we were talking on last Tuesday, we talked about the leaderboard, and
mm-hmm.
the Berkeley
Yeah,
one is
yeah,
an LAM, what's
mm-hmm.
it called? Um,
The
Language action model,
action, yeah,
the action models.
the action model,
Yeah, I would say
call,
that maybe
mm-hmm.
the those lambs are those model routers, right? Because
Yeah,
now they understand which action you need to take, and well, that action is done by that person or
yeah,
that other agent, hand it off to them, and then I'm waiting for them to get back to me to now perform the next action,
yeah.
right? So that's I
So
understand
yeah,
model routing.
I guess we could use it as a multi-step, but there, and these are just like, this is what it is, right? Like the actual layer from the orchestration is just part of it.
Exactly.
So it's nice.
And then I would have put ETL as part of the tools, um,
Okay.
because it's an action, right?
Mm,
Why do I need to extract? Why do I need to load data? Why do I need to transform data? So
okay.
this is a process in of its own. Now there could be an AI agent that all it does is ETL, and so now
Yeah.
um, that's its purpose, right? My purpose is to pass the butter, which is to extract, transform the butter, and then load it somewhere else, right?
Hmm.
And so that's where the ETL can come into play
Yeah. It
from
would
that.
be more
Yeah,
prompt so that the observability would be on this slide. That's an
exactly,
iteration right there. So we'll do that.
exactly. I got olive oil on my hand. Sorry, I don't know how that happened. Um, Database, I think it would be a tool. Um, infrastructure definitely part of the orchestrator. Actually, infrastructure is always one of the root things. It's like a core of an onion, right? The core had to be made first before all the other layers,
Yeah.
or the roots have to be there first in order for the onion to grow.
Hmm.
Database, definitely a tool. I believe that this could be a tool, but this is very important because now how are you going, each of these are different. So how is your agent going to understand these? How is it going to pull information from them? So very, very important. Infrastructure, where is this agent, where is the orchestrator going to run, right?
Yep.
What hardware is this though? Because it all needs to live
Or
somewhere, and it lives
cloud.
on
Yeah.
hardware.
Yeah. But or cloud, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah,
part of
because this
infrastructure. So all of this, where
okay.
off of these two can be all grouped together in some form or fashion. These the cloud providers are definitely more of a high level. You know, the if it depends how we're looking at it. Could be where things run from. This is how they run on there, and then everything else is kind of um, lives inside of the infrastructure. And so it's in, your orchestrators or observability, everything now lives within one of these two, within the infrastructure.
There you go.
Are we getting deeper? Do we go deeper?
Now I think this is it.
We're back to the surface.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
this is a this was an interesting take when you go, just go, okay, but what is this? And there's just so many tools, but you don't know how they're just all linked together. I think as there were, I think I'm trying to say an idea that as far as everything that we've been seeing it grow, we're also going to see it trim. You know, like one
Oh yeah.
will become the other and such, because everyone is adapting into like the same, it's just a natural thing to do, to adapt to other changes, and you just have to restructure and build
I
again.
think we're in the
And
messy side of it right now, though.
yeah,
I feel like we're in the way where all these branches and all of these leaves and all of these things are like branching out and growing, right? And they're going in their different mini directions. And you're absolutely right. There's going to come, and I think it's happened. Um, Take a look at like the Industrial
we
Revolution, right?
yeah,
Where
but you take the example of today that we discussed earlier, everything that has been dead by Google, you know?
oh yeah, what's been dead by Google, right? And
Yeah,
I
like
think that's a
the
bad example.
uh,
That's a
okay, it's a
different
different
point of
example.
view.
Okay.
I agree. There is some relevance here, right? Because things have been trimmed off because for some they weren't generating money. There's things like that. But and that's from a very business standpoint. But
It's
if you look
specific.
at
Okay.
from an industry standpoint, a wider view,
Okay.
the Industrial Revolution, for example, when that started happening, there was a lot of people everywhere. People because it's a chain, right? It's a supply chain. It's a who needs to do the work first so that the next person can do the work. And if we think about just the railroads, right?
Okay.
And everything that it took to generate that. Well, now we need steel mills, we need steel mines, we need steel. So all of that supply chain. And if you look at those same supply chains today,
Mm-hmm.
they're way more advanced than they were when they started almost 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But when they started, they they were just getting the job done, right? And that's what's most important is getting the job done. And they were getting the job done with the tools and the knowledge that they had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of miners got a lot of lung issues and things like that because it was new and people didn't know, like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe they did, but it was kind of, well, we don't how do we still need the supply. That's just the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
and and that's kind of, I feel like that's what's happening right now in this. If you think of the AI race as kind of this AI revolution, as where everybody's branching out, everybody's doing these things, and we're kind of creating this mess. And there's a lot of threats to even our mental health because now there's all these AI generated content. What is real? What is not? What is what is providing value to society? What is not providing? And who's to dictate that, anyways?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you can see that it's branching out in so many different industries and so many different areas that it will come, and regulation will come, and things will come where it will start cutting off some of those branches because it's the right thing to do. Because we don't know what the right thing to do is right now, right this second. We're starting to figure it out, and things are going to get trimmed and things are going to come to fruition as to, you know what, thank you for going in that direction, but really that's not what society needs. And that's what the economy will dictate as well, and go from there. That's kind of how businesses come to live and die, right? Is if you're not solving the right problem, then you won't have the customers to support your solution, right? And so that's kind of what is happening right now. But anyways, it's all becoming this nervous system for a digital operations group. Now you have operations that must be done because humans run the company. And then now you're trying to leverage all of these AI agents to do a lot of those operations that a human doesn't need to do, but
Mm-hmm.
requires a level of thought because we
Yep.
have a tool now that we're able to use that we didn't have before. Right? Is this blue or red? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
we've had tools in the past that were able to dictate what color things were, and we're able to pass things through. But is now that more complex intelligence the tasks that AI can do have now leveled up. And so now as humans, we need to level up to do more harder things, or else we're just going to compete with a robot, which is hard to do because we got to sleep and eat and stop.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think we should compare. This is exactly what was on the news. These It was an interesting take on um I'm not sure there's a conclusion at the end of the news that says I'm just not sure that even is kind of theoretically possible to replace humans with a bot. We've been saying this before. There's always going to be the need of critical thinking and creativity, uh, and that will always require the human. So even people in the Silicon Valley did not know what AI agent is. That's so funny.
I
But
think
yeah,
I think that's a very like I think that they're having maybe a two-dimensional view of it because it's very specific to a company or an industry, and every company does something a little bit different. And so an AI agent can be anything, really. If it's built, it's an AI agent. If it uses AI and it's doing a specific purpose and it does that purpose, it doesn't even have to do that
mhm,
purpose. It's purpose really good as long as you put it in operations. That's an AI agent. It could be an AI agent to just. I mean, we have AI agents. Do you have the what's it called? Um, those robot vacuum cleaners. I would say that's an AI agent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like an AI agent is just very broad. It's just an artificial problem solver. It has a very specific purpose and it solves that problem for you. But I guess in a way they're also right because then, well, what's an AI agent for us? It could be anything. And if it could be anything, is also nothing? No, I'm confusing
Mm,
myself. So maybe nobody really knows what it is.
yeah. I think it's just an evolution of everything that we've done for improvement or productivity since the Industrial Revolution. Because before automation, there was I'm not sure what to call it, but it was more analog and mechanic, but it was streaming operations.
Yeah.
So we've become
It
very
just wasn't
productive.
it just
this
it was
fast.
very pragmatic. It was a
Yeah.
programmatic approach because there was no intelligence about it. It
Mm-hmm.
took intelligence to build it,
Yeah.
but there wasn't an artificial
Yeah.
intelligence
But
figuring out how to do it.
should we controversially say that just like everything that we've created beautifully, and this is just my take on, I love technology, but I also hate it. Um, and just my personal opinion, but just like the nuclear bomb, um, it could be something that we made for building amazing things, but then what are we gonna do as far as work if we can do it all? That can't be right. Like we didn't think about this before. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. It's almost like I don't think that whomever built the atomic bomb thought that that was the level of destruction that we wanted to portray to give to
Oh, they
ourselves.
knew.
But it wasn't. Well, then they knew that these AI agents would be, you know, be doing all of this stuff. But then what is going to be left for the people to do? We still have other jobs that, just like the robot, for example, I have a helper at home. It is a human helper. She still needs to feed her family. And I don't have the little robot in my feet. So,
Yeah.
so everyone will be at the level in which they would want to, be, because I don't think that the quality would be the same, and so on. So it's just the same thing. It's beautiful and it's chaotic, like we said. It's
Yeah. There's a lot of things to think about because of this. Human purpose is a big one.
yeah.
Um, then there's the the power aspect of that, right? And that's kind of going back to your atomic bomb situation and conversation is like, no, they knew it was a world destroyer,
Yeah.
but also it was what either we build it or someone else is going to build it, and
Yeah.
so that's I think that's a lot of what's happening here today as well, because it's like this is
A
another,
race.
yeah, another
And
race.
yeah.
That's why it's called the AI race, right?
Yeah.
It's
It's
another kind
ego.
of race to make sure that to use it as a deterrent to not destroy the world.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
if I mean, it's just what is who has the biggest gun?
It's ego. Yeah, we all know that. It's
Yeah. But yeah, from our aspect, we're trying to use it to help businesses be better. And it does,
exactly.
as it says on the screen, right? It involves far more than just slapping an interface over ChatGPT or Claude or any of the foundational models. Um, that's where software engineering is going to be now. It's now AI engineering for the most part. We need to build a software that builds the AI, and we need to build the AI. So that's literally what we're doing now, right? So that's from our perspective. That's how we make the world a better place, right? One solution at a time is that if we can build AI agents that help people do their jobs better and not replace them, but enhance their way of being, so
Hmm.
that they can they do more things about their job and day to day that they love and that they care to do, and make sure that um, we're caring for that human purpose. What is the human purpose of that operation, and catering to that human purpose? then that's where that's how we're creating our AI agents, to make sure that the human is being supported on a pedestal and holding them up, and it's the robot holding the human up. And the more robots we can make to support the humans up, then that's the type of AI agents that I want to work for. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's it.
And well, if you still don't know how to leverage AI agents in your workflows and what you do in your day to day, and how AI agents can support you and your operational excellence, then let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for. We can talk about it as long as we need to, but we do offer a free consultation, and you can just book a call with us, and we'll be happy to help you.
Yep.
And we got some resources.
Yeah. So I'm working on um, since we've asked and been involved with the digital presence of clients. I think that what and I we posted it recently. You remember that post of soul not detected for
Oh,
an
the
AI,
AI.
because AI can build the brand and logo and everything, but no soul has been detected. And to me, that's kind of like what I want to portray as far as what is okay and not okay.
That's a good,
Everyone is,
interesting topic. Can we create an AI business, like just strictly from using AI agents?
yeah, it's, and what is what I would want to, like, I guess, say is that everyone is just so different and brings a different mentality in an entire world to their businesses in a very special way. And we've had clients that I only do this and I want to do this. The more I'm referring to the art website we recently built. And they do art and they've done all of this other work in their life, but they want to portray this specifically. And so I thought that that was ever since then, when uh, we delivered that project, I've been thinking about how launching a brand is actually a thought process, and in your own way, it is it has your soul, and it also has everything backed up with the technical details that you need to take in consideration. So I'm working on that blog. It would be a
Awesome.
resource for people that would want to build their business from the ground or just revamp it.
Exactly. And um, I mean, you can use AI is a great tool. Use it. Like, use it to help you build your business. And
Yeah,
that's what it should be, a tool, right? You're still the one that has to build it.
yeah,
You're the
exactly.
soul.
Exactly.
And then we do have more than 10 hours of kind of a series of the growth. We call it the growth cycle, but that's where we talk about software development and return on investment for software development and governance and compliance. And so, yeah, we have a lot of content for you to be able to be consumed on YouTube. And so please subscribe and follow us wherever you're watching us today.
That's it.
And that's a wrap. I kind of like it because we've kind of like had a topic where we went down an iceberg, and then we went back up to the surface, and
And
then we
now
were
we're in
looking at the sunset, and
the
then
final thought.
and the final thoughts. So now we're in the dark. And then now we're in like a new day, and we're watching the birds flying in the sky.
You
Oh,
got it.
wow, what a
So
journey!
it
Thank you,
does.
Laura.
Yeah, that's exactly what marketing does. It goes through your journey of thoughts graphically.
Thank you
See,
so much. That was awesome.
yeah, yeah.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. You can get in contact with us at send us an email at info@ebdevtech.com. You can send us an email. Sorry, you can look us up on our website at ebdevtech.com, or give us a call at 832-937-9622. The QR code
Great.
has everything there, so you can have it on your phone. Thank you, guys, and until next time, take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Nice.